Hey Eurovision fans, it's time for another Eurovision news update. Today, the Eurovision community is on the move to a new platform. We have 2 new countries confirmed for Eurovision 2025. We'll also talk about whether some of the controversial changes in Junior Eurovision could make their way into Adult Eurovision. And then I have an absolute freaking mountain ton of national final news for you. So let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. As always, I have slithered through the swamp that is Twitter to bring you all of the most juicy and delicious Eurovision news, but that is something that might change because the Eurovision community is currently in the midst of an exodus from Twitter to a new platform called Bluesky. So in case you don't know, Twitter has really gone downhill in the last couple of years since Musk took over. There's no moderation anymore, so there's a lot of hate speech, a lot of abuse. You can pay to have your posts bumped, so it's not about quality of posting anymore. It's just whether you're a paid member or not. So the whole platform has just really gone downhill. I've actively been looking for an alternative for a while. I moved on to Threads. Honestly, Threads just isn't that good. Very dead feeling. It's not innovative at all. But this new platform has really been gaining traction since the US election happened. It was actually created by the guy who created Twitter before he sold it on. It's moderated. You can have real discussions on it. You don't get abuse no matter what you say. It's actually a really nice platform, and it's gaining a lot of traction. It feels like a really good alternative to Twitter for me. So I've moved on to that. For now, I'm posting everything on both because I don't want to get rid of my Twitter profile yet in case Bluesky trips up for some reason or just doesn't gain traction. But if you're someone who didn't want to be on Twitter because it was such a cesspool and want to be in some of these social media platforms, Bluesky is a really great alternative. A lot of content creators from Eurovision are moving over to it. Danny, who you may know from Eurovision Hub, has created a starter kit. So when you go on there, you can add a bunch of people who are in the community. It's a really nice atmosphere so far. Their numbers are growing really quickly. So this seems like a really nice alternative if you want to get news updates and want to hear what people think about songs and whatnot. It's just nice to have a place that isn't a bigotry cesspit. So go check that out and follow me on Bluesky. So let's talk about our first new country that's confirmed participation, and that is Poland. Now, we kind of knew this was going to happen. I put them in my very likely section on the participation list, but nice to have that official confirmation. And with their confirmation, they've published the rules for this year, and there's a couple of changes. So one of them is the applicant must be a Polish citizen. I think they basically in that rule are saying no Jojo Siwas. Also, the submitted piece must have original music and lyrics in the following languages. I did not realize there were so many regional languages I hadn't heard about: Kashubian, Karaim, Lemko. No Spanish allowed, so no Loca Corazon de la Muerte this year. Yeah, I don't know why French, Italian, English made the list, but Spanish didn't. We also have a few more details about the actual competition. So there's going to be between 8 and 10 artists, and the final is going to be happening on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So if you're single, don't worry, you can come watch the Polish national final with me. I'll probably live stream it and we can be single together. Now, a really big change in the Polish national final is that it is going to be 100% televote. Now, if you follow this channel, you'll know that Poland have had problems with their juries in the past. The problem being that the juries are pretty dodgy, not the most honest, let's put it that way. In 2022, Poland were involved in the jury scandal. 6 countries were caught voting for each other in the semi-finals, and then their votes were all discounted. Poland was one of those 6. And then they had another jury scandal the next year in 2023 when there were accusations of rigging when Blanka won the national final. So I very much welcome this change. My perception of this, and Polish people I'm sure will tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, is this is the new revamp of TVP. So the new prime minister come in, and I think he did a revamp of the broadcaster. So possibly this is one of the effects of that. I remember last year things were so up in the air, we didn't know what was going to happen, and there wasn't enough time for national final, and we got an internal selection instead. So I think this is the new TVP, but correct me if I'm wrong. If so, I'm totally into it. My impression is that corruption has been a big problem in the Polish system, and I think that that discourages a lot of the talent in Poland from entering. I think it's an absolute scandal that Poland have never won Eurovision before. They absolutely should have won. The biggest country that's never won it in Eurovision, they should have won several times, and they haven't. And I think a large part of that is this kind of corruption behind the scenes. I think many artists aren't going to want to apply if they think that it's rigged. And taking away the jury takes away the main source of rigging. I think this will hopefully be a really good long-term strategy for Poland in getting that first win. They've won Junior Eurovision twice, but they've never won that at Eurovision. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm actually excited about Poland this year. Really excited to see this national final. Is it going to bring in some new artists with these changes? Hopefully it's going to be a little bit fairer and Poland can start pushing towards getting their second top 6 finish. They've only been top 6 one time. That was on their debut, coming second in 1994. So it's been a while since they're in the top 5. It's been 31 years since they've been in the top 5. Let's start with that, and then we can work towards them winning. And they've only had one top 10 finish in the last 18 contests. That was Michal Spach in 2016. I'm glad that there appears to be a revamp in the Polish system. Okay, our second confirmed country is Moldova. Another one that I was pretty sure was going to happen. By the way, we're still waiting on Armenia, who I'm also quite confident are going to be in as well. But yeah, really happy that Moldova have confirmed. They've opened up submissions now, and those submissions are going to be open until December 27th. I don't know if they're going to do their infamous live show where everyone who submitted a song gets to a live audition and we can get some pretty outstanding moments. I'm really happy about this, particularly since it looks like Romania aren't going to be in the contest. We haven't got official confirmation of that yet, but it does appear that way. It would be terrible if we got neither Moldova nor Romania. I'm really glad that we at least have Moldova representing while Romania sort themselves out. You know, last year wasn't great. I thought that the song was underwhelming and I thought the lyrics were very weak, but Moldova had some incredible success. I think Moldova are a great example about how you don't have to have a lot of money to participate and do well. They always have a low budget. Sometimes they've been really imaginative. Third in 2017 was Sunstroke Project. There wasn't big money in that staging, but they got the job done. And also coming top 10 with Doritos, a song that got 0 points in the OJE fan contest, but then ended up getting to the top 10 because it had the most amazing staging. So I love that they're really showing creativity and innovation. They got a really good qualification record as well. And I really feel like their participation in the contest is a win-win. I think it puts them on the map. I think it makes a lot of people pay attention to them, and it shows off their country in a really great way. And I also think they have a lot of fun entries that bring a lot of character to the show as well. Would be lovely if Romania decided to join them, but we're gonna have to wait and see. And also I think the more that Moldova does well, I think more Romanians are gonna push TVR to come back. And so I'm very happy that Moldova are back. Speaking of countries who may or may not be in, we still don't have any confirmation about North Macedonia. I believe some people contacted MRT, the broadcaster, to ask if there's any update on their participation. I have to admit, in researching this, I really got the impression that they contacted MRT and MRT had kind of forgotten about it. They got a message and then they had a hurried meeting about it. It seems like they aren't going to have the finances to do so, but we don't have an official no yet. And me being perfectly delusional wants to believe that right now Romania and North Macedonia are currently discussing with the EBU, is there any way for us to get in? I think the EBU would definitely allow them to go past the application deadline if it meant that they join the contest. I think those rules are extremely bendable. I'm hoping that that's the reason that we haven't got the participation confirmation list yet. As I mentioned in a previous episode, we used to get it on October 20th every year. It's late. We know part of that reason was because of the Netherlands, but could another reason also be Moldova and Romania? Honestly, that participation video, there's content creators in our community who could put that video together in 2 hours. So I don't know what the other potential delay for it is. It's not a difficult video to make. You just flash up all the countries who are in this year. So this is what the participation list is currently looking like. We have 37 countries. I'm still expecting Armenia in. That would make 38. We've never actually had 38 countries at Eurovision before. This would be the first time. But then, yeah, look, I'm still holding out for one little sneaky surprise, whether it be North Macedonia or Romania or maybe Monaco. I haven't heard anything from Monaco. I don't know. Honestly, the very small countries, I'm not as excited by them coming back unless they've got like a very specific strategy. 38 looks like the most likely number right now. Okay, now let's talk about some of the controversy from this year's Junior Eurovision, and could these controversial elements make their way into the adult contest? So the first of them is the new way of showing the jury results. So in case you didn't see, I'll try and play a video here. Hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted. But what they did is they took all the 1 points from all 17 competing countries and delivered all of them at the same time. Then they took all the 2 points and gave them all the 3 points and gave them all, etc. There's two things I'm going to talk about here. First of all is the delivery of it, and second of all is the concept. So first of all, the delivery was horrifically bad. These graphics are terrible. They're really, really confusing. A lot of people seeing this going way too fast had absolutely no idea what was going on. There's no way that most of the kids watching this understood what was going on. It's very, very fast. It's not explained well, and the graphics don't help you understand it. So they decided to show these points off in this way. You can see it looks like everyone's losing. Very hard to tell who's in the lead. Even just putting the leader with a full bar just makes everything a lot clearer in terms of who's in the lead. For some reason as well, they put the names on the bottom so that you have to turn your head sideways to read it. Instead, they should have just used a sidebar like this. And then even better would have been if they'd put them into order of who's winning, and then it would be much, much clearer, the relationship between everyone, and you could see people moving up and down as the points were given out. So just a huge amount of graphic design disaster decisions taken here. And so it's a bit frustrating because this is an interesting idea, but we don't know what it would look like because it was so badly done and so badly explained and so quick. It just flew by. You didn't have time to process what was going on, see who was moving up and down the table, who had more points, who had less points. It was just like this constant dump going really, really quickly, very confusing. Now, some people are wondering, could they have been testing this out to put it into adult Eurovision, which is the reason I'm talking about it in this episode. I would be really pissed off if they did put it in, because I love the system in adult Eurovision when we go through and everyone gives their points and we get to see it. And I think the pacing of it now is good because you have time to take in and see people moving up and down the scoreboard, who are the big names, who are getting called out. If it goes too fast, then it becomes completely pointless because you have no idea what's going on and you're just rushing through everyone. So I don't mind as much if they just want to keep this for junior Eurovision, but if it comes to adult Eurovision, I think myself and a lot of the people are going to get really, really, really pissed off. There's a lot of really good graphic design content creators in the Eurovision community. I would like to see some of them implement this system with last year's result or previous year's result and see what it would look like, because then that would give us a better idea, because what RVTE did was just absolute crap and we couldn't really get a sense of if it would work or not. The other controversial thing that happened in Junior Vision this year was the heavy use of AI. So for some reason in the postcards, they had a part filmed with the contestant, but they decided instead of just filming an extra 30 seconds with them, they would instead use AI. So they put the kids in these like kind of fantasy situations. Some of them I could understand because they put them up in space or they put them under the sea. Some of the times though, they were just like studying at home. It's like, why do we need to see an AI version of Enya studying at home? Why don't we just show Enya studying at home or Enya doing something in real life? There was also quite clearly a bit of like face tuning and body changing. It made a lot of them taller and slimmer. So I think that's really effed up to take kids and like face tune them basically. This was causing a huge amount of controversy on Twitter. Like I didn't see anyone who thought this was okay. On top of that, it looks like they used a cloud service AI. So Dan noticed that they left a watermark for Luna, which is a cloud-based AI company. So that means that all of the data of these kids' faces will have been uploaded to the cloud and can be used by other people now. If that's correct, which it looks like it is, they've denied it in a statement, but at the end of the day, it says Luna on it, like they got caught. Like you can see the Luna watermark that it was used. The whole thing was just an absolute mess. Now, in a way, this could be a blessing in disguise because it was such a disaster that I think it probably won't happen in the adult version based on this gigantic backlash. Now, that's assuming that the EBU is looking at social media, which I don't really think that they do anymore. After what happened last year where they were getting criticized a lot, I feel like they just totally tuned themselves out from it. So I'm a little bit worried that they may not have seen the pretty universal disgust with how AI was used in a kids contest this year. Fingers crossed this doesn't creep its way into the adult contest. Also, a lot of creators being pissed off that work that could have been given to people in the community was instead used in AI. I don't see why RVTE, which is one of the more wealthy broadcasters, needs to rely on using AI to create content as opposed to some other broadcasters who've hosted Junior Vision who have much less money. Plus, like I said already, they were already with the kid. They could have just taken an extra 10 seconds of footage with them, going to a museum or playing on the beach or something. They didn't need to do this. This wasn't necessary. This was a conscious choice and it really, really, really backfired. So these are two big things that happened in Junior Vision, which I think a lot of people are hoping don't make their way into the real contest. Okay, I got a nice short story for you, and that is about ESC 250. So in case you don't know about what that is, it is a fan vote that's been done every year since 2008, where you can vote for your top 10 favorite Eurovision songs ever. So any song that made it into Eurovision, not national final songs. There's a separate top 10 list for that. This one is just for songs that made it to actual Eurovision. You can go to songfestival.be and they've got a really nice way of sorting through. You can go through the year or the country, you pick your top 10, you put them in the list and submit them. And then on New Year's Eve, they do a radio show where they go backwards from 250 all the way up to first place. You may know this contest because Lorraine won it every single year from 2012 until 2021. And then 2022, Chanel won. 2023, Garia won. This year, I'm guessing it's going to be between Garia, Baby Lasagna, Lorraine, maybe Nemo as well. It's just a little bit of fun, but it's kind of nice to go through on New Year's Eve and then you listen to all of these great Eurovision songs. Get your votes in now. Do you want me to do a video about my votes, or do you want me to just splat them onto Bluesky? If you want, I could do a short video about it. Okay, now it's time for our regular segment, Dutch Drama. First of all, I need to point out, when I say Dutch Drama, I say that with complete and utter love. I'm obsessed with the Netherlands and Eurovision, so I don't mean Dutch Drama in a negative way whatsoever. But there does tend to be a lot of Dutch Drama, so it's a suitable name. And we're having some rumors about who could potentially be representing them last year. Obviously, everything's in a little bit of a rush because they confirmed quite late and they've opened up song submissions late as well, since JESC declined to go to Eurovision 2025. But we're having some rumors, and one of them is that Douwbob, who represented them in 2016, coming 11th despite being 3rd in the running order, is interested, and he's submitted a song. Now, he's a little bit controversial in the Netherlands because I believe he's had 3 children from 3 different women, and one of those women is Anouk, who represented the Netherlands in 2013. And she is also interested in participating as well. I believe she's also submitted a song, and she is also quite controversial because I think it was February last year she posted a transphobic tweet. She had some toilet paper covered in her menstruation and she took a photo of it and posted this photo. I'm not going to show the picture of it, but you can go look it up, and this caused a lot of people to get upset. And one of the people who responded to her was Nikki Tutorials Nikki Jaeger, who I think is just absolutely, I'm such a huge fan. I thought she was by far the standout host of the production in Rotterdam in 2021. I would love Nikki Jaeger to come back and host again. I think she's so freaking talented. And Nikki Jaeger really clapped back at this. Having one of the Netherlands' most down-to-earth, respected musicians be a shameless TERF and transphobe was not on my bingo card for 2024. We're a minority simply wanting acceptance. Leave us the F alone. And then she followed that up with period, mic drop. So look, yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is that Anouk is also controversial. So the 2 confirmed people we've had are both slightly controversial figures. You know, it's a little bit sad because Eurovision is a safe space for a lot of people in the LGBT plus community. I know for me, I feel really safe in this community in a way that I don't in some of the other communities that I've been involved in the past. So I think it's just sad for a lot of trans people to see something like that and then maybe have Anouk come and represent. Because yeah, it's like your one safe space suddenly doesn't feel as safe or accepting anymore. So I think if Anouk is selected, she's going to have to broach this topic quite head on. So yes, we have 2 potential names for the Netherlands, and both of them have potential drama. These might not even be the Dutch representative. There might be other people in the background. I'm sure the Netherlands have a lot of submissions that they're going through right now. Fingers crossed whoever they choose will be like really boring and calm and have no drama. And then I'll change the name of this segment to Dutch Dullness instead. Okay, let's go through this mountain pile of national final news. First up is Montenegro. In case you didn't see, since my last news update, I have posted my Monte song reaction video, and I also did my analysis video. Please go check both of those out, where I do a review of all 16 songs and then give my thought on the whole national final. We have our first odds for Monte song, which is happening on November 27th. I'm going to be live streaming it here. So we can currently see that Nina Zizic is in the lead. Not too surprising. She's also leading the Eurovision scoreboard, I believe. And she's already been to Eurovision before, so probably one of the bigger names. Barya sitting in second, one of the big favorites from that reaction video I did. A lot of people leaving me comments that they love this kind of like alternative rocky feel that they're bringing. Tamara Zivkovic in third. I believe that she was an alternate, so she wasn't even in the contest until someone else withdrew. Anastasia in fourth place. Djurda in fifth. Kate in sixth. So a lot of these female acts, in fact 5 of the top 6 are female artists. And then in 7th place we have my favorite, which is Isaac. So yeah, looking pretty open right now. I also went through the YouTube views. I'm going to post them here without comment. Some allegations that some people may have allegedly been buying YouTube views. I'm not saying anything, but just gives you a slight inclination on who might be getting a little bit of traction. Okay, now let's move on to Albania. And I have very exciting news about Albania this year. Their national festival, Kungas, will be releasing all the songs before the show. So I think for the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't done that. And it's kind of been a little bit disappointing because you have to watch them all live and there's a very, very long show and there's a lot of gaps. I much prefer this. It lets us listen to the songs beforehand, build up a little bit of hype, get excited to see certain people. I'm also hoping that it will mean that fan favorites won't get murdered in the first round. So last year, Luan was a huge fan favorite and he was one of the songs which were culled in the first round. I'm hoping that the songs are released earlier. At this point in time, we've been told early December. We haven't been given a specific date, but I'm hoping that if people see those songs, we can get a fan favorite and they'll be saved from being cut out by the jury in the first round. We don't have any news yet about how many songs are going to make the final. This year there's 30 songs, so maybe they'll cut 7 or 8. I'm not sure. I will be covering that on this channel, just like I covered Monte's song. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm going to try and power through as much as possible. So make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss that video. I'm also going to try and live stream FIC if I can. I'm getting my live streaming skills up to par. Fingers crossed that I will be able to live stream that as well. It usually happens just before Christmas, usually like the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Okay, next up we have news from Spain, and they have released the 16 artists who are going to compete in Benidorm Fest 2025. Blogs has done a really good article where they went through all 16. They gave a short little bio for each one and then put in a music video of one of their recent releases. So it's a really good article to go through because you can get an idea of their backgrounds, where they're coming from, and then you can hear like a snippet from one of their songs to get a feel for their musical sound. I'm just going to point out a couple that jumped out to me. I'm very excited about La Chispa, who I believe does a little bit of flamenco music. I think she's got a really interesting look, and she's maybe doing something a little bit different as well. She's involved in the flamenco scene, so she's got a lot of influences coming into her music. I'm also excited for Lucas Bunn, he's got like a little bit of a weird vibe, giving me a little bit of Spanish Conan Osiris. Not totally in the sound, but just in being kind of a little bit weird and out there. Experimental mixing sounds. And also in the vocal, I'm getting a little bit of Beirut. I'm not sure if you know who Beirut is, Zach Condon. And the third person I'm looking forward to is Chica Sobresalto, who's got like an electronic pop feel. And also her song is called Mala Feminista, which I presume means bad feminist. So I'm hoping that song is going to be a little bit badass, maybe with some cool lyric, giving us some staging with a bit of depth. So those were the 3 that jumped out to me. There's a lot of beautiful, powerful looking female girly bop songanistas this year. Carla Frigo has that vibe. So did Daniela Blasco, who's really into dancing. She was giving me a little bit of Silly Capsis vibes in her dance style. I did Teresa look kind of cool. She had like a little bit of an edgy feel. We had some indie vibes from Celine Van Heel and Henry Semler. So that'd be cool if we got like something just a little bit more different. Kingdom is coming with an electropop vibe, which we had with Nebulosa. But yeah, like there's a lot of female pop artists here, so they're really gonna have to work hard to stand out. We also have Sonia and Selena, who were quite established, who were relatively famous in 2002. They broke up because they were fighting too much and they've gotten over that now. 22 years later, they're back together and they've got a song called Rainias, which means Queens, and that is written by Lorenzo, who was one half of Nebulosa last year. And we have another songwriter of note, and that is Alfred, who's written Celine Van Heel's song La Casa. Apparently he discovered her, she was singing in a hotel during Benidorm Fest last year. He discovered her and they've been working together ever since. So the songwriter list is pretty much all Spanish. Well, they're all Spanish names, they're not necessarily Spanish. And then another name of note is Jose Otero. He's the last songwriter on Jay Cabello's song VIP. You might remember him from Benidorm Fest 2023. I I think his song was Inviernos en Marte. That was my favorite song that year. For some reason, he doesn't have a hyperlink, so that's surprising because I thought he was a bit more established. But those are the names that I recognize. If there's any other names, you can let me know. All Spanish songwriters, it seems like they're really trying to build up their own national songwriting, which is really, really interesting. One thing I'll also say about the artists is, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but there's no returning artists this year. And generally, I don't associate Benidorm Fest with returning artists, apart from Blanca Paloma. Now, there could be several reasons for that. Maybe the people don't want to apply again because they had a bad experience. Maybe the Benidorm Fest people don't want to bring people back in general because they want to expand and give other people a chance. A third potential reason is it's so competitive that people are applying to get in again, but they aren't able to. I gotta admit, the impression it gives to me is that people go to Benidorm Fest, don't have a particularly good experience, and don't want to come back. The fact that we pretty much every single year get an almost entirely new cast, apart from Blanca Paloma, doesn't really look good, but that's just pure speculation. Maybe there's another reason for it. But I'm really, really looking forward to Benidorm Fest. I think it's one of the hottest national finals, growing a lot in its reputation. They're doing a really good job. Some good changes coming in this year. And the songs are going to be released on December 18th. I'm definitely going to do reaction videos to that as soon as I can. I will have that out before Christmas. I promise you. I'm giving you so many Christmas presents this year. Festival of Cungas, Benidorm Fest. There's another one I'm doing as well. I can't remember what the third one is. Now moving on, we also have artist announcements for Belgium. They've announced the 8 artists who are going to compete in Eurosong. By the way, why do Belgium and Ireland have the same national final name? Who came up with it first? I don't want to be all patriotic and say Ireland did. Maybe Belgium came up with it first, but it would be nice if one of them would just add a letter on or something. I don't know, change Eurosong to Eurosong or something. In the case, we have 8 national finals. Grace, who won The Voice Flanders in 2021. We have Jelle van Daal, who won Let's Go Glasgow competition in 2008. That sounds like a slightly tenuous claim to fame, but that's what was in her bio. We have Lise, who tried to represent Belgium as a kid in 2005. And now 20 years later, they're trying to represent Belgium in adult Eurovision. We also have Le Manu, who also applied to be in junior Eurovision, but they came second in the national selection. She makes French language pop house, so that could be quite interesting. We have Len, whose grandfather Louis Neefs represented Belgium in 1967 and 1969, coming 7th twice. So could that be a sign that Len is going to come 7th in the national final, or maybe he'll win the national final and come 7th in Eurovision? And he also had some tutoring from Gustav, who also came 7th in Eurovision. So who knows, there's lots of 7s happening right now. It's a lucky number in some places. We have Mentissa, who is addicted to The Voice. She was on The Voice Kids in 2014. Then she went on to The Voice Holland. Then she went on to The Voice France, where she got a record deal. And now she is a judge on The Voice Belgique for kids, I think. So yeah, she's just obsessed with The Voice. And now she's moving on to Eurovision. So this is hopefully her new obsession. So Mentissa, I'm guessing, has a very, very strong voice based on how many times she's been on the show. We also have Red Sebastian, who is sexy electro pop, like Sam Smith, his words, not mine. He also studied under Gustav as well. And the final contestant is Stephanie Calobo, who looks incredibly like Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live. She's the former lead singer of ethereal indie group SX, so hopefully she's giving us like an indie vibe. So yeah, this lineup looks interesting. I don't think there's any like super established names, but you don't need to be established to have a great result. So in case you don't know about the Belgium system, they alternate each year between the Flemish and the French broadcaster in Belgium, and Eurosong is the national final that the Flemish broadcaster has been using. I have to admit, I think both broadcasters do pretty well, but in recent years, I think I've been preferring how Flanders have been doing it, and I think they've got slightly better results. But yes, Belgium has this unique system where they're alternating between these two broadcasters. I don't know how many people are on both teams. I would imagine there's got to be at least one person who's in both delegations. But yes, I feel like there's a slight competitive element there. Both had good results, but I do feel like the Flemish broadcaster recently seems to have a better vision. But let's see how they do this year. I am looking forward to Eurosong. I don't know if we have a date yet on the songs. Hopefully not before December, because I've got so many freaking videos to do. I can't have more national final songs. We don't have a date for the songs yet, but the final is going to be on the 1st of February. Yeah, more stuff to look forward to in February. February's going to be real busy. Okay, we also have the 7 contestants for Luxembourg's national final. Now, we had heard a rumor that 2 of the contestants had competed in previous years, and a lot of us thought that it might be Crick or Chaid, But actually, the two contestants from last year who made it in are One Last Time, who I believe their song was Devil in the Details, and Rafaela, who last year did a duet, and this year she's on her own. And thank you to Luxembourg Song Contest for making this graphic. It is so freaking useful. So we know One Last Time, we know Rafaela. We also have Rhythmic Soul Wave, who look kind of interesting. In case you don't know, last year there was a lot of controversy because all the artists went through a preliminary round and they had their own songs, and their songs were then thrown in the bin and they were paired up with songs artificially. Some of them didn't like their songs, and then that's what they auditioned with to get into the final. I believe only one person out of the 8 finalists last year got to keep their song. Everyone else's song was thrown in the bin. This year, it seems like they haven't done that, and they are keeping the people with their songs, which is much, 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 much better. My point is that I'm guessing that Rhythmic Soul Wave are going to have a song they've written themselves, and it's going to be something a little bit different. So just giving us a little bit of variety. Last year was slice after slice of white bread. It was just the same stuff over and over again. This year looks like we're getting a little bit more variety. 0.5 as well. I've heard a little bit of hype for them. Hopefully again, giving us something different. And then it looks like we're going to get a dose of pop as well from Laura Thorne, Luzak, maybe Mena, who knows. But this looks more interesting as a lineup. They've also reduced the number down to 7, which is good. It shows that a little bit of editing instead of just automatically going to 8. Maybe they said, actually, this 7's good. We don't need to add an 8th person because maybe the next best song just wasn't that good. So they're going to be competing one-on-one with UMK for who is the best national final with 7 artists. They're not going to win that battle, but that's quite a big person for them to go up against. But yeah, I'm more excited about this year. It really does seem like they looked at the mistakes that they made last year and they're correcting some of it. It makes me feel like the delegation's thinking, they're taking the criticism from last year and adapting. And that's what you got to do if you're a new delegation in Eurovision. Okay, some news about Latvia, who I mentioned earlier on in the episode. They are releasing the artists who will compete in Supernova. That's happening tomorrow morning. I don't know how long it'll take me to edit this video, but I will talk about them in the next episode. But we're going to find out those names really soon. So more exciting news coming from Latvia. They definitely want to build on the momentum, getting their first qualification after a 6-year non-qualification streak. Again, we have some news from Serbia. They've had 222 submissions. It looks like PZE will have 28 contestants again this year. Eurovision.rs are reporting that there's potentially a new voting system. So I think that they started digging through the rules and they saw mention of a proportional system. PZE and many other of the national finals in southeast of Europe use this system where jury points are ranked and then converted in 12, 10, 8, etc. And then televote points are also converted into rankings and then they're added together. So you can win the televote by 1,000,000,000%. If the jury knocks you down, you basically can't win. It gives the jury a lot of control over the results. It looks like Serbia aren't going to be using that system this year, so they'll be using a proportional system. So if an artist has a very high proportion of the televote, they will keep that percentage as opposed to just getting it converted into 12. Now, interestingly, if you apply this formula to last year, we would have had a different winner. It wouldn't have been Teodora, assuming that everybody voted the same. You know, keep in mind if the system was different, maybe people would have voted more tactically. Let's just simplify it and convert the results. We would see that actually Breskvika would have won, the very, very controversial televote winner from last year. Let's see how this goes. It's not set in stone. Like I said, this hasn't been officially announced yet. Okay, next up, we've got news from Melfest. We have 3 more rumored artists. The biggest one of those is Victoria Silvstedt, who you may know is pretty famous model. She was Miss Sweden, and then she was a very famous model in the 90s. She was on Playboy. She had the cover of over 500 magazines, and then she became the lady who turns the letters on Wheel of Fortune in France and Italy. So she speaks fluent French and fluent Italian and fluent English. So really, really, really smart woman, polyglot. And she's going to be entering the contest this year. And Aftonbladet, which is the Swedish tabloid which leaks all of these names, has called this a mellow bomb. So they use this term for like a big news announcement that like shakes the world. And they say that previous mellow bombs have been Anders Spagge competing, Loreen coming back with Tattoo, and Mahambi being in Melfest. They're the big 3 announcements. So they're saying that this is as big as that. I don't know, I'm going to have to wait and see, but I do recognize her name. The 2 other contestants which have been announced are Saga Lundviksson, who came 2nd place in last year's season of Idol. And then we also have Adrian Macias, who appears to be a theatre kid. Victoria, by far the biggest name of these 3, and we're currently sitting at 28 rumored names out of 30, which I'll put for you here. And so the show is really taking shape. Okay, speaking of shows that are taking shape, let's talk about Greece's national final. It's going to be happening on January 29th, which is a Wednesday. They had 187 songs submitted. And if you remember from previous episodes, I've talked about how they're going to choose up to 12 songs. We still don't have that many more details about the rest of the format yet. Okay, that's all the Eurovision news for today. That was so much news. You must be satisfied at this point, in which case, please do subscribe, drop a like, share the video with somebody you know. No new donations on PayPal or Buy Me Coffee, but if you want to support the channel, I'll leave links to you down below. And of course, thanks to my patrons for patronizing me from all around the world. If you want to watch some more Eurovision content, I'm going to leave a video for you here. But thank you so much just for watching and maybe leaving a like. And I hope to see you on another Eurovision analysis video very, very, very soon. Goodbye.